All right, so we're diving deep today into fat loss, and
Yeah.
we're really excited to get into this detailed guide that someone shared with us.
Mm.
Looks like they're really prepping for a big health journey.
Yeah, it's great.
So we're going to help cut through the noise,
Absolutely.
extract the most effective science-backed strategies.
Yeah, love it.
And one of the things that has surprised me when I was looking at this guide was
Mm-hmm.
the connection between sleep and fat loss.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
It's huge.
who knew that catching those Z's could actually help you
Right.
shed those extra pounds?
It's so important, and it all comes down to hormones.
Right.
You've got ghrelin, which revs up your appetite, and then leptin, which signals that feeling of fullness.
Okay.
And when you're sleep deprived, ghrelin goes into overdrive, making you crave more.
Oh, wow.
Leptin takes a nosedive, and you're just left feeling less satisfied.
So it's like your body is working against you
Totally.
when you're not sleeping enough.
Yeah, and there's that study, I think it was in the guide that you had shared, that found people who slept less than 6 hours a night
Yeah?
were way more likely to have higher BMIs.
Yeah, that was a fascinating one.
It's not just about the number on the scale, though.
Right.
You know, getting those 7 to 9 hours of sleep is essential for your health, your energy levels, even how well you perform during your workouts.
Yeah, because sleep is when your body repairs and recharges.
Absolutely.
So how do we improve sleep hygiene?
Yeah.
Especially like in today's world where we're surrounded by screens constantly.
Right.
It's so hard to just shut off.
It is a common challenge.
Yeah.
One thing I recommend is setting a consistent sleep schedule,
Okay.
even on the weekends.
Oh, wow.
That can really help regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle, like training your internal clock. And as for those screens, try ditching them at least an hour before bed.
Okay.
That blue light,
Yeah.
it can really mess with your melatonin production,
Right.
the hormone that helps you drift off to sleep.
So let's talk about protein.
Yeah.
Something that I know a lot of people are curious about.
It's a good one.
And we often hear that it's good for building muscle, but it sounds like it's also crucial for fat loss.
Absolutely.
So how does that work?
Well, protein, it's a building block for muscle.
Right.
And so it can help prevent muscle breakdown while you're losing fat.
So you're protecting your metabolic engine while you're
Exactly.
dimming down. I like that.
And also, protein requires more energy to digest than carbohydrates or fats,
Okay.
meaning your body burns more calories just processing it.
Oh, so we get like a little bonus.
Little bonus calorie burn.
Yeah, I like that.
And it also keeps you feeling fuller for longer,
Right.
which helps prevent those cravings.
Yeah, because I know some people struggle with like the late night snacking and things like that.
Exactly. Protein can help with that.
So how much protein should we be aiming for?
Yeah. So a good starting point is 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight.
Okay. And where do we find this magical protein?
It's everywhere.
Okay.
You know, you've got lean meats, fish eggs, dairy products, and even plant-based sources like beans and lentils.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that actually leads perfectly into the next thing I wanted to touch on, which is fiber.
Ooh, good one.
I know it's important for digestion,
Yeah.
but how does it help with fat loss?
So fiber, it's a type of carbohydrate that your body can't digest,
Okay.
but it plays a huge role in keeping you feeling full and satisfied.
So even though it's a carb, it doesn't spike our blood sugar like refined carbs. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it works in a couple of ways.
Okay.
First, it adds bulk to your meals,
Okay.
literally taking up space in your stomach.
Uh-huh.
Second, it slows down digestion, which means you feel fuller for longer.
So it's like nature's appetite suppressant.
It is. There was a study, actually,
Yeah.
that showed people who ate a high-fiber diet lost more weight than those who didn't.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, pretty compelling evidence. Now, what about specific foods?
Yeah.
Where can we get this fat-fighting fiber?
Well, fruits, veggies, whole grains, and legumes.
Okay.
All excellent sources of fiber.
And you mentioned that we should aim for 25, 30 grams of fiber per day.
That's a good goal.
What happens if we just like suddenly increase our fiber intake?
That's a great question. It's important to increase your fiber intake gradually.
Okay.
Make sure you're drinking plenty of water, too.
Okay.
Otherwise, you might experience some digestive discomfort.
So like bloating and gas and things like that.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So speaking of foods that help us feel full and satisfied,
Yes.
I think it's time to talk about whole foods
Love it.
and I know you're trying to cut back on processed foods.
I am.
So how does that tie into fat loss?
Well, choosing whole foods over processed foods is a fundamental step in any fat loss journey.
Okay.
And it's not just about the calories, it's about the quality of the food you're putting into your body.
Right.
Whole foods are packed with nutrients, fiber, and protein, all of which contribute to feeling full and satisfied, stabilizing blood sugar levels and keeping those cravings at bay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what about carbs?
Okay.
Because you mentioned distinguishing between complex carbs and refined carbs.
Yes, very
Could
important.
you explain that a little bit more?
Absolutely. It's a common misconception that all carbs are bad.
Right.
Complex carbs found in whole grains, legumes, and veggies are actually your friends.
They are.
They provide slow-burning energy and are packed with fiber, which, as we've already discussed, helps you feel fuller for longer.
So it's about choosing the right kinds of carbs, not eliminating them altogether.
Exactly.
Right.
Refined carbs, on the other hand, like white bread, sugary treats, processed snacks, those are the ones that can sabotage your efforts.
Yeah.
They're stripped of their fiber and nutrients, leading to those energy spikes and crashes that leave you feeling hungry and craving more.
So it's like choosing a friend who's reliable and supportive versus one who's all about instant gratification.
I love that analogy.
Right.
But leaves you feeling worse off in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about your specific goals too.
Mm.
You know, like you want to have sustained energy for those morning workouts.
Right.
Complex carbs will fuel you much better than those quick fix refined carbs.
Yeah, okay, so I'm starting to see how all of these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
But what about exercise?
Right.
You know, because we've talked about food,
Yeah.
we've talked about sleep.
Mm-hmm.
What about exercise?
Well, strength training is a powerful tool for fat loss.
Okay.
And it's not just about building big muscles.
Okay.
It's about increasing your lean muscle mass, which boosts your metabolism even when you're not working out.
So the more muscle we have, the more calories we burn, even at rest.
That's the idea.
I like it.
Think of it as building a more efficient calorie burning engine.
Okay. And so for someone who's maybe new to strength training,
Yeah,
do you have any tips for getting started?
absolutely. So aim for 2 to 4 sessions per week,
Okay.
focusing on compound exercises that work multiple muscle groups at once.
Okay. So think squats, lunges, push-ups, and rows.
Okay.
You can use free weights resistance bands or even just your own body weight to start.
And there's tons of resources available online and at like local gyms
Oh, yeah.
that can guide people on, proper form and
Absolutely.
technique and all that good stuff.
For sure.
Okay, so we've covered sleep, protein, fiber, whole foods, carbs, and strength training.
Wow.
That's a lot to digest.
We're just getting warmed up.
But there's still more to explore.
There is. We'll break it down into manageable steps, though.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We'll make sure you have all the tools you need to succeed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
You too.
All right, so we've covered some pretty powerful strategies so far. I'm feeling energized just thinking about all the positive changes you're going to make.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see someone so dedicated to improving their health.
And speaking of exciting, I know you're really curious about intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
There's so much buzz about it these days.
There is. But I have to admit, I find the whole concept a little bit intimidating.
I get it. It sounds kind of extreme at first, but it's
Yeah.
not about starving yourself.
Okay.
It's really more about strategically timing your meals.
Okay.
You had mentioned in your research the 168 method.
Right.
That's a really great example.
Yeah, so that's where you basically just drink water or other calorie-free beverages
Yep.
for 16 hours each day, and then you have an 8-hour window to eat all your meals.
Exactly. And the idea is that by extending those periods of not eating, you're giving your body a chance to tap into its fat stores for energy.
Okay.
It also helps improve insulin sensitivity, which is important for regulating blood sugar levels,
Right.
preventing those energy crashes we talked about earlier.
And there was even a study that you highlighted about how intermittent fasting can have benefits
Oh, yeah.
beyond weight loss.
Yeah.
Reducing inflammation, improving brain function.
It's fascinating. It's not just a diet. It's almost like a metabolic switch that triggers all these positive changes.
Okay, but is it really sustainable long term?
Yeah,
Like 16 hours?
right.
That's a long time to go without eating.
It is. It really depends on the individual.
Yep.
Some people find it incredibly easy and empowering. Others struggle with that restricted eating window.
Right.
So it's really important to experiment and find what works best for your lifestyle.
That's a good point, because there's no one-size-fits-all
Nope.
approach to health and fat loss.
Exactly.
It's really about finding what resonates with you, what you can stick with.
And speaking of finding what works for you.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned that you love being active outdoors.
I do.
Hiking, biking, swimming. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, I love all of
That
that.
sounds great.
But I do struggle with, like, sticking to traditional gym workouts.
Yeah.
They just feel so monotonous to me.
I totally get that. And that's why it's so important to find activities you genuinely enjoy.
Okay.
If you love being outdoors, there's no need to force yourself to go to the gym. Embrace those activities that make you feel good.
That's a relief.
Yeah.
Because I always felt a little guilty that I didn't enjoy the gym as much.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing all those outdoor activities that I love
Yes.
count as cardio.
Absolutely. Anything that gets your heart rate up,
Okay.
increases your breathing rate, that's cardio.
Okay, and so what are some other types of cardio besides, you know, my outdoor adventures?
Well, there's the classic running, swimming, biking, dancing. But it can also be as simple as brisk walking,
Okay.
taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
Yeah.
Even just doing some jumping jacks at home.
Now, you mentioned that you were curious about high-intensity interval training, or HIIT.
Yes, HIIT workouts are fantastic
Okay.
for burning calories and boosting your metabolism
Okay.
in a short amount of time.
So how does that work?
It involves short bursts of intense exercise alternated with brief recovery periods.
So instead of like jogging at a steady pace for 30 minutes,
Yeah.
you would maybe sprint all out for 30 seconds, followed by a minute of walking or something.
Yep, and the beauty of HIIT is that it can be adapted to any fitness level. You can adjust the intensity and duration of the intervals
That's great.
to match your capabilities.
So it's a really good option for people who are short on time,
Yeah,
but still want to get a really effective workout.
exactly.
And you don't need any fancy equipment.
Nope,
You can do it at home in the park, even in your hotel room if you're traveling.
it's very versatile.
Okay, so we've talked about getting active and burning calories, but I'm guessing what we eat is still really important.
Oh, absolutely. You can't outrun a bad diet,
Right.
and that's why we need to talk about portion control.
Okay.
I know calorie counting can feel restrictive,
Yeah.
so I want to focus on something a little simpler that you had asked about, using smaller plates.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that?
I have, and it's so interesting to me because it seems almost too simple.
Right.
But it makes sense. We tend to fill our plates no matter how big they are.
Exactly, and that's where the visual illusion comes in.
Okay.
When you use a smaller plate, your brain perceives the same amount of food as a larger portion.
Oh, wow.
So it's a subtle shift,
Yeah.
but it can make a big difference in how much you end up eating.
So what size plate should we aim for?
Switching to like 9 or 10-inch plates
Okay.
is a great starting point.
Because those oversized dinner plates that a lot of people use are practically the size of platters.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I remember there was that visual you liked in your research
Oh, yeah.
where it suggested filling half your plate with vegetables, a quarter with lean protein, and a quarter with complex carbs.
That's a great guideline.
Yeah.
Ensures you're getting a balanced and nutritious meal without overdoing it on any one food group.
Okay, I'm definitely going to try that.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about whole foods versus processed foods a few times already, but I'm sensing this is a really important concept.
It's crucial, and I know it can feel overwhelming
Yeah.
to completely overhaul your diet overnight. So, just remember you're not alone in feeling that way.
No.
It's about making gradual changes, not aiming for perfection.
So instead of focusing on eliminating all processed foods, maybe it's more about slowly replacing them with healthier alternatives.
Exactly. And start by becoming a savvy label reader. That's
Right.
one of the most empowering things you can do. You had highlighted a section in your notes on decoding food labels.
Right?
It's all about learning to spot those hidden sugars, unhealthy fats, and long ingredient lists.
Yeah, I remember you saying like the fewer ingredients, the better.
That's a great rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Choose foods with ingredients you can pronounce and recognize. And pay close attention to serving sizes, too.
Right.
They can be surprisingly small.
Right.
So it's easy to underestimate how much you're actually consuming.
Okay, so we're reading labels.
Yeah.
We're choosing whole foods. We're managing portions.
Love.
What else should we be keeping in mind?
Well, one thing I would love to emphasize is the importance of staying hydrated. Yes.
I know you mentioned that you sometimes forget to drink enough water.
I do. I get so focused on work that I often go hours without even thinking about it.
I totally understand it happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
But staying hydrated is so important for overall health.
Mm-hmm.
And it can even support your fat loss goals.
Really?
Yeah. Water helps regulate metabolism, suppress appetite, support digestion.
Wow.
It also flushes out toxins and helps your body function optimally.
So how much water should we be aiming for?
A good starting point is at least 8 cups or 64 ounces per day,
Okay.
and more if you're active or live in a hot climate.
Okay. That's definitely something I can focus on. I'm going to start carrying a water bottle with me everywhere I go.
Yes.
Now, I know we talked about stress earlier in the context of sleep, but it seems like stress can also impact our weight.
You're right. When we're chronically stressed, our bodies release a hormone called cortisol,
Okay.
which can actually promote fat storage, particularly around the abdomen.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like your body's in survival mode.
Wow. Holding on to those extra calories.
So I've definitely noticed that I tend to crave comfort foods when I'm feeling stressed.
That's super common. Eating is a real thing.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the physiological effects of cortisol.
Okay.
It's also about the emotional connection we have with food.
Right.
When we're feeling stress, anxious, or overwhelmed, we often turn to food for comfort.
So it's not just about what we eat, but why we eat.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to address the root cause of the stress
Okay.
and find healthy coping mechanisms that don't involve food.
You know, I mentioned that I enjoy yoga.
I know, it's a fantastic way to manage stress.
Yes, yoga, meditation,
Yeah.
spending time in nature. Those are all things that really help me de-stress.
I love that it's about finding what works for you,
Yeah.
incorporating those stress-reducing activities into your routine.
And really taking care of our mental and emotional well-being
Yes,
just as much as our physical health.
absolutely.
This is all so insightful. I'm feeling so much more empowered and motivated
That's awesome.
to tackle this fat loss journey.
I'm so glad to hear that. And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about making progress one step at a time.
Okay, I'm ready for that next step. So what else do we need to cover?
Okay, so since you're all about making this a lifestyle change,
Yeah.
not just a temporary fix,
Right.
I would love to talk about mindful eating.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
You mentioned it briefly earlier.
Yes, it's a practice that can transform your relationship with food
Okay,
and help you make more conscious choices.
I like that. So how does mindful eating actually work?
It's all about paying full attention to the present moment while you're eating,
Okay.
savoring each bite,
Mm-hmm.
and tuning into your body's hunger and fullness cues.
So instead of like mindlessly scarfing down a sandwich
Yeah.
while scrolling through social media, I should be like sitting down, focusing on my food,
Yes.
really experiencing each bite.
Think of it as turning mealtime into a meditation.
Wow.
Engage all your senses. Notice the colors, the aromas, the textures of your food.
Mm-hmm.
Choose slowly savor each mouthful. Pay
Okay.
attention to how your body feels as you eat.
Oh.
Are you starting to feel full?
Mhm.
Are you still hungry?
So it's like becoming more aware of the entire experience,
Yes.
not just the act of putting food in my mouth.
Exactly. And by tuning into those subtle cues, you can avoid overeating
Okay.
and start to develop a deeper connection with your body's natural wisdom.
I love that.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, like, I struggle with eating slowly.
Yeah.
I'm always on the go, and I tend to just rush through my meals.
I understand it's a common habit,
Yeah.
but I encourage you to experiment with slowing down,
Okay.
even if it's just for one meal a day.
Right.
You know, you mentioned chewing each bite thoroughly.
Yeah.
That's a great place to start.
Right, because that gives our brain time to register those fullness cues.
Exactly. It also aids in digestion,
Okay.
helps you absorb more nutrients, and even prevents overeating.
Okay, so I'm going to try to make a conscious effort to chew more, savor each bite, and really be present during meals.
That's great. And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Okay,
It's about progress, not perfection.
I like that.
Just start with small, manageable steps and build from there.
I'm feeling so inspired. It's amazing how such simple shifts in our mindset and habits
I know.
can make such a big difference.
It's powerful stuff.
It really is.
Yeah,
So, I feel like we've already covered so much,
we have.
but I know there's still more to explore.
Yeah.
What else can we add to our fat loss toolkit?
Well, we've talked a lot about like the specific strategies,
Mhm.
but I think it's also important to kind of step back and look at the bigger picture.
Right.
You know, you mentioned wanting to make this a lifestyle change, not just a temporary fix.
Right.
That's where the concept of mini goals comes in.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah.
Breaking down a big goal into smaller, more manageable steps can make the whole thing feel less overwhelming.
Exactly. And instead of focusing on losing like a large amount of weight all at once, try setting smaller, more specific goals that you can work towards gradually.
Right?
It's like that quote you underlined in your research.
Oh yeah.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step,
I love that.
right?
It's a good reminder That we don't have to do everything at once.
Nope.
We can make progress one step at a time.
One step at a time, and each small victory builds momentum and keeps you motivated.
Okay, so what's a mini goal that I could set for myself this week?
Well, what about aiming to drink 8 glasses of water every day?
Yeah, that feels achievable.
That's a good one. Or maybe try incorporating a 20-minute walk into your daily routine.
Or how about swapping out those sugary evening snacks for a piece of fruit and some nuts?
Perfect.
Yeah,
See, you're already setting yourself up for success.
I like it.
And remember, it's okay if you stumble along the way.
Right.
Don't let setbacks derail you.
Okay.
Just acknowledge them, learn from them, and keep moving forward.
That's such an important reminder because I do tend to get discouraged easily, but I'm determined to make this time different.
You got this.
I think so too.
I know you do. And speaking of making it different this time, I think it's important to kind of revisit the concept of calorie awareness,
Okay.
but with a twist.
Ooh, a twist.
I like it. It's not just about counting calories.
Okay.
It's about understanding that not all calories are created equal. Remember when we were talking about nutrient density?
Oh yeah, getting the most nutritional bang for your buck?
Think about it this way.
Okay.
100-calorie serving of broccoli.
Okay.
Way more nutrients, fiber, vitamins than a 100-calorie serving of potato chips.
Right. So even though it's the same amount of calories,
Yeah,
the broccoli is a much better choice
way better choice.
for my health and well-being.
For sure.
Okay. And so by choosing whole foods over processed foods,
Yeah,
I'm not only getting more nutrients, I'm also naturally regulating my calorie intake.
exactly. It's a win-win.
I like it a lot. This has been such an incredible deep dive.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I feel like I've learned so much, and I have all these strategies that I can actually implement
Awesome.
in my life.
I'm so glad to hear that. And just remember, it's all about finding what works for you, experimenting, and being patient with yourself.
Absolutely, and celebrating those small victories along the way.
You got it.
I feel like I can do this.
I know you can.
Thank you so much for guiding me through all this.
Of course, it's been my pleasure.
I feel so much more informed and powered to take control of my health and
That's the goal.
achieve my goals.
I'm so proud of you. And remember, we're always here to support you.
Awesome, thank you.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep thriving.
That's a great way to end it.